Next man up, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Good morning, Nashville. I wouldn't say it's a beautiful Friday. It's pretty rainy and kind of cold. But,
it's beautiful.
But it's beautiful in our heart. Jake Lyman, of course, out today. He is off over at Memorial Stadium, or Memorial, whatever, Gym. Thank you.
There we go.
Memorial Gymnasium. Easy college basketball guy. Get your arenas together is what they all are saying to me. He is off at Memorial Gymnasium calling Vanderbilt women's education game. Hopefully the score does not read 6-7. Otherwise, he will not be able to hear the rest of the weekend.
I told him better watch out for 17-6 or 16-7 because kids still do that when
still
it's
do
6 and 7.
I mean, they just start screaming. So Nick Frazier and I are in. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt with you today. Parker Kelly, of course, behind the glass, running the 1s and 2s today. How are we today, Nick Frazier? I know you've had a busy morning.
Yeah. I was telling Robbie and Joe this morning when I got here, I'm like, I don't know what it is with primetime games, but I'll fall asleep after the first quarter. And, of course, with this daylight savings, it's dark by 4 o'clock. So my brain's telling me, all right, it's time to start settling down. I eat dinner around 5 o'clock. That's just me. I'm an old man.
You are truly.
Might as well just put me in the home while you're at it. I mean, no, but I fell asleep after the first quarter. I was like, oh, the Bills will probably take care of business with this game. And I woke up around 10:45 and I look at my phone. I was like, oh, I wonder what the Bills did. And so as I'm walking up the stairs, I go lay down and I check my phone. I was like, wait a minute. I just missed a really good game.
Yeah.
It ended like 20 minutes after I woke up, and Josh Allen, they pulled off a hook and ladder and just threw that late game pick. So unfortunate for them. But yeah, my sleep schedule's all over the place. Didn't go to bed till like 2 a.m. And then woke up at 4, which I was fine.
You're on the college sleep schedule, pal.
Yeah, I got 5 full hours, which is fine.
Although I've reached unk status, I think. I'm like Kevin Garnett on the Nets. I went to bed at like 10:30 last night.
Oh,
I was tired. Tonight is going to be a late night. I got to go up to an MTSU dance celebration.
Let's do it.
Can't wait. I am thrilled with that. It's going to be a good time. Today's a bad day for me. I'm having a bad hair day.
That's all right.
Good thing it's radio, but
everyone listening knows you have great hair, so it's all good.
Not today. This is usually when I have bad hair days, I wear caps.
Yeah.
Today I was like, I don't really feel it. And I'm on radio. I don't have a face for radio. I have a face for TV.
There you go.
I got the voice of radio. Not to toot my own horn. I regret to inform you that unfortunately we will begin today with the Tennessee Titans. I heard Robbie and Joe talking about this on the way in, and I wholeheartedly agree with their statement. This is the kind of game that you look at on paper and just think the Titans are going to get absolutely schmacked in this one. The Seahawks, I don't think, are a true Super Bowl contender just yet. They are good. They got a really good defense. I would call them the Legion of Boom 2.0. They got a dynamic receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's got like over 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns through 10 games, which is absolutely absurd, just completely unheard of. And the Titans had an opportunity to draft him and didn't. But this is a matchup I look up on paper, and I think the Titans, especially with their secondary, are just going to get clapped. And I'm trying to avoid any negativity towards them because we know what the Titans are at this point. We know what the Seahawks are on some level. Sam Darnold's an MVP candidate quarterback. There's no denying that right now. It's just a matter of, can he show that against the good teams in the NFL, contrary to some people's beliefs? He goes on YouTube today, by the way. Anyways, this matchup to me is just not favorable. 2 touchdown favorites in the Seahawks. Is this the worst beat on paper you think the Titans are going to face today?
Maybe. I kind of look more towards the game in December where they take on the Chiefs, where the Chiefs have like a four-day rest period, which is one of the shortest in the league. I wouldn't say this is one of the games for sure, but I think because the Chiefs have their backs against the wall of possibly missing out on the playoffs, that's the game I think the Titans are going to get an absolute butt whooping. But as for this Sunday, we're going to see the same result we've been seeing week in and week out. It's just going to be an abysmal watch. I might even turn it off after the first quarter. I mean, I might fall asleep, actually. If it's dark outside, I might. But just looking at the breakdown, you made a good point about Sam Darnold being a really good quarterback for this team. You know, if if teams start double teaming, I just double coverage, for Jackson Smith and Jigba, it forces Sam Darnold to really start, looking at other options. And one of those options is AJ Barner, who's been a pretty good tight end for them. You look at Elijah Arroyo too, the rookie out of Miami. Cam was very familiar with him. So they have some, Cooper Kupps there as well. So that's somebody else to look at. But it just seems everything kind of runs through Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, they're off. It's interesting. Arguably, two of the best teams in the NFC this year are A, in the same division, and B, teams that I expected to take a major step back, and they are running away with things. I mean, both have MVP caliber candidates. I would argue Matthew Stafford is the quarterback to beat in the MVP conversation, but it comes down to elite receiving.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, of course, have Smith and Jigba. The Rams have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. It comes down to elite receiving. Speaking of receiving, Titans don't have that at all this week. It may be time to hashtag CTS.
Cough, cough.
Cough, cough. Catch that strep. And look, I don't think that would make a huge difference in the result. I hear Joe talk about it all the time, and I see where he's coming from. No one would give a better effort than Xavier Restrepo, and I agree. I think Xavier Restrepo would come out there and give his all because this is maybe his only chance with the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the NFL is telling you something about Xavier Restrepo based on why he's not been elevated. I mean, we're elevating James Prochet and Mason Kinsey, of all people, before we elevate Xavier Restrepo. They elevated people this week that I didn't know existed before Xavier Restrepo. So I think the league, and more importantly, the Titans, are telling you exactly how they feel about Xavier Restrepo without outwardly coming out and say, yeah, he sucks. I don't think he sucks. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's on all these leaderboards in Miami for a good reason.
All-time wide receiver leader.
Yeah.
Miami Hurricanes.
Sometimes these collegiate players just don't work out in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm torn between my thoughts here because we all think, and obviously the NFL, it could, reflect that maybe Xavier Restrepo is not a great wide receiver. Maybe that is the case. But we also have to put into factor the coaching staff in Nashville right now for this Tennessee Titans team. It's not great either.
Right.
So could it be poor mismanagement of elevating and not elevating players? Could that be a factor as well? Can we not overlook that?
I think it's just lack of talent all around.
I agree. There is a lack of talent on this team, 100%. But let's not discredit a guy that set a bunch of records at Miami. And sure enough, I'm sure I'll get, razzed for all this. But the guy he's earning his stripes. He's working from the ground up, essentially. I mean, even Nick Holtz, I always reiterate this because I think it's hilarious. He called Xavier Restrepo one of the best practice squad defensive backs they got out there. So, I mean, this guy could be the next Travis Hunter in some aspect.
Nick Holtz, known paperweight supplier of the Tennessee Titans.
No, but just give the guy a little bit of a chance, Restrepo. Like, obviously, everybody's all – I know I heard Robbie talking about this a few days ago, that he's just sick and tired of listening to – media talk about Xavier Restrepo, like the guy that has the most coverage and it was not even drafted. Mm-hmm. So, like, to your point, like even the NFL passed up on him, like all these teams passed up on him. He could have been picked up at any time this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just give the guy a chance this Sunday. I think if he does catch a few passes, if he does get elevated, we could see some more Titans fans come in on Sundays.
Yeah, I think that would be the only storyline billing. Hey, Cam Mort's throwing the ball to your best friend.
Yeah.
And they're playing against their former tight end. You could get in for $7.
But look, the positive about that is, everybody talks about Cam Ward's development. Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, like footwork here, awareness in the pocket. Look, if he goes and connects a few passes with Xavier Restrepo, guess what? You're seeing development out of that quarterback from things they did in college together. Like, to me, if you want to see development in your quarterback, I think that's a little bit of it. You have to add that into the equation.
Yeah. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 6641 on our text line. Asks an interesting question that I think we'll get into more on the other side. But they say, what does success look like for the Titans on Sunday? Obviously, a win would be great, but we need to set expectations for a lot of these fans. What couple things would you look at for specifically to say, yeah, that was as successful as you could hope for, considering we completely suck and the Seahawks are good? That is kind of what I wanted to get into on the other side with you, Nick Frazier. How can the Tennessee Titans limit said MVP quarterback in Sam Darnold? And on the other end, how can they look comfortable against a good defense? What are some things they could go into this game and do? And you come away and think, yeah, they look pretty successful on that end. We'll get to that on the other side here on Next Man Up. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 102.5 The Game. Nick Frazier, welcome to the greatest day of the week, not named Tony Tuesdays. This is White Girl Friday.
Okay.
And this is iCarly. Did you ever watch iCarly growing up?
Maybe once or twice. To be fair with you, I didn't watch that many like cartoon like TV shows per se.
I didn't watch it either, but this song is just ingrained. When you have a sister, the song is just ingrained in your brain.
See, I had an older brother, and I was kind of dodging paintballs.
I would be concerned if your older brother was watching iCarly.
No, we're 6 years apart, so like I always hung out with older kids. I was either playing baseball with them or dodging paintballs or doing whatever, just getting into trouble, just having fun.
He's a man's man, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a man's world.
It's a man's world. Great song. 94.9, speaking of where Jake Lyman is today, 94.9, The Fan is your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Today, the Commodores take on Alabama State at Memorial Gym at 11 a.m., and pregame starts at 10:45 a.m. If you're wondering where Jake Lyman is and why you're stuck with these two bozos at 9 a.m. this morning. Let me quickly, before we get back into the Titans, give a quick shout-out to MTSU women's basketball last night. They did not win against Tennessee, but incredible turnout, over 10,000 in attendance, more blue than orange, which is not an uncommon thing in the SEC, if you get my drift.
Oh, I catch your drift.
And hopefully we catch the strep on Sunday. But just shout out to them. That program has come a long, long way. It is truly one of the great programs at that university, and it's fun to watch them grow. They didn't get the win last night. It's a very, very young team, only one senior on the entire roster. So they're going to be fun to watch this year as they continue to grow. But shout out to them. Shout out to anyone who was up at the Glass House last night supporting the Lady Raiders. I'm sure they greatly appreciate it.
Proud alum right here.
Proud alum. Proud soon to be alum in about 5 months.
All right.
May 9th, or I think it's May 10th. If anyone's interested in coming to watch me walk down the aisle.
Graduation gifts for Connor Newt are suggested on the text line.
Yeah, 615-737-1025 if you want to send any premature graduation gifts. I like money. Let's get back in to the conversation, and I'll reread this text because I think it is truly an interesting conversation to have. Texter asks, if I can find where it is. There we go. Texter asks, 6641 asks, what does success look like for the Titans on Sunday? Obviously, a win would be great, but we need to set expectations for a lot of these fans. What couple things would you look at for specifically to say, yeah, that was as successful as you could hope for, considering we completely suck and the Seahawks are good? So I ask you that question, Nick Frazier. What are some things that the Titans could go into this game, aside from winning, and do, and you come away and say, yeah, they looked about as good as they could look right there?
I'm going to steal a page out of Paul Kaharski's book. He mentioned it, I think, Wednesday on Robbie and Rex Road, just talking about how if you're Mike Borgonzi and you see these young players in a J.C. Latham or a Cam Ward or a Chimdike or whoever else, you want to see if they can improve in a game like this because they're the selling points. They're the toys on the wall where you're trying to sell them to the people in the store. That's what Borgonzi's doing. He's trying to sell this team in a roundabout way for the next head coach. And so if you look at a guy like Latham, and everybody's talked about it ad nauseum now about his false starts and just his mismanagement of snap cadences and stuff like that, that stuff can be fixed in practice. Like I'm not too worried about that. I think it's just become a lack of awareness and a lack of attention when it comes to stuff like that, the little things. Because we all remember when J.C. Latham came to Nashville and was drafted, the guy was running wind sprints and thunderstorms and rain over at St. Thomas Sports Park.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that J.C. Latham? That's what I want to see. I want to see that J.C. Latham back again.
It seems like he has fallen on the lazy train a little bit. I don't want to outright call him lazy because I don't know him personally. And
right.
I've had conversations with him, of course, but I don't think he is lazy. I think right now he's doing what a lot of players on the Titans roster are doing, and really the franchise as a whole is doing, and going through the motions. I think he knows that this season is a complete wash. So he's looking at it and saying, what could I possibly give that could end up in a win? And he's not doing that. And therefore being held accountable by Jeffrey Simmons, who I'm very appreciative is holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons has done a lot of maturing this year. And I think that him being on J.C. Latham's case as of late is a sign of that. I don't completely disagree with Latham in his ideas of this season's a wash. Why should I give everything I got? The only thing that it'll do is get us further away from a number 1 overall pick. But to me, that's not a player mindset he should have. That's a front office mindset. That's we need to lose as much as we can so we can get the number 1 pick. And look, I understand that no player and no coach in the NFL is outwardly tanking. That is not what I am accusing J.C. Latham of. I am accusing him of having the mentality that a lot of players on this roster are having. And this team is bad, and I'm not getting anything out of this season for myself. So why should I give it my all?
Look, if you see the captain's list right now, a guy in Lloyd Cushenberry who came into this Titans situation as a focal point, right? Somebody you could look to as a leader. He's not that right now.
Nope.
I listened to his press conference a couple of days ago. This was on Monday. It just didn't seem with it. He was, like you said, going through the motions. You go to Cam Ward, who's still learning the system. And as a rookie quarterback who's named a captain, it's good for the future of the franchise.
It was a mistake this year.
Once again, they put him in the Will Levis situation.
Yep.
And I didn't understand it. I mean, you unretire Warren Moon's number for him, and I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole summer topic that frustrates me. But the fact is,
this is a June topic.
Oh yeah, June, whatever. I mean, you look at the captains on this team. Calvin Ridley no longer on the active roster. He's on the IR because of his broken fibula from last Sunday. There is no leadership right now that you can look towards if you're a young player in J.C. Latham or I mean, right now, from whatever I'm hearing from other people, like Paul Karski, Tehran, everybody, they're saying that Kevin Winston Jr. is one of those guys that's kind of coming into his own. Like I wouldn't call him a leader just yet, but he's leading by example.
TD and I had that conversation yesterday on talking with TD. So
yeah, like you hope this draft class Borgonzi is drafted are all future leaders, because that's how the NFL works. You kind of recycle things through the draft. And when you can find a true leader at a young age, and a Latham or a Winston Jr. or whoever else is on that list, Cam Ward, another one of those. I mean, he's currently a captain, but I think he still has to develop into his own. The only North Star right now you can look at is Jeffrey Simmons. And like you said, he's holding everybody accountable, but you want to look at more of the, how can Jeffrey Simmons keep those guys accountable and help them grow? Because right now it seems like it's Borgonzi's culture message through Jeffrey Simmons, Jeffrey Simmons' message from Borgonzi to the rest of the team. That's how it feels to me.
Which further solidifies my idea. Mike Borgonzi should be the only one making football-related decisions in this office.
Sure.
I don't want to hear from Chad Brinker and his cancer-curing AI, allegedly. Mike Borgonzi's the only football guy in that entire building. So he's the only one that should be making decisions. But back to the original question. You are saying that J.C. Latham needs to have a first-round pick level game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he needs to have a first-round level pick game for sure, because, again, goes back to PK's point Wednesday. What can Latham do to prove to Borgonzi that he has a solidified right tackle? Because you can't keep going back in the draft and cycling through right tackles and left tackles, because more than likely this Titans team is going to move off of Dan Moore Jr. after that second year of the contract.
The Mandor, baby.
The Mandor, yeah. Like, you got to keep looking forward to the future. And if you can't look forward to the future with J.C. Latham, then you have to go back to the well of the draft, and you have to supplement it somewhere in the fourth or fifth round of the 2026 draft.
I think if you're looking for slight wins for the Titans to have on Sunday, I'll go on the opposite end of the football. If you can manage to hold Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba under 300 yards, I think that is probably a win, because looking at how thin this defense is, especially in the secondary, I mean, your number one matchup is going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba versus Jalen Armour Davis. That's not exactly a heavyweight fight, if you ask me. So I think if you can hold them to below their average, which I realize is a pretty much insurmountable challenge for this team, but I think if you can hold them around their average or even below that, that is a slight win for the Titans, because that means you played tough, and that means you kind of exposed a team that a lot of the national media is already crowning as Super Bowl contenders. I think if you can manage to limit the MVP caliber quarterback this season and maybe an offensive player of the year candidate in Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think if you can manage to limit them just a little bit, then that might be a slight W in the column for the Titans.
100%.
In the moral code, at least.
And I think it reflects more on Denard Wilson from what he's able to do with this small group of defensive players he has to use, because there is nobody in the secondary right now. I mean, all you got is really Amani Hooker and, like you mentioned, Jalen Armour Davis, Samuel Womack, like a lot of these guys that are just waiver wire pickups.
Yeah.
And you're somehow keeping.
It's the island of misfit toys.
Yeah. And like the game they lost to Houston last Sunday, 16-13 on a walk-off field goal. You got to give a lot of credit to Wilson on that game, because the defense kept him in. Like,
I mean, that team just beat the Bills last night.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we all see what Houston's about. They're now 6-5. They have a winning record. They're above 500. This is a team where that defense looks really good.
They have an opportunity to get in to the playoffs. I wouldn't pick them to win the AFC South, but
yeah,
they have an opportunity to get in. I don't want to say at-large bid because that's a college thing, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, a potential wild card spot.
Yes.
Sure. Yep.
There we go. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get in on the conversation. Our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chase and Big Joe will be broadcasting live at the all-new Circus Sportsbook Kentucky in the Mint Gaming Hall this Monday, prior to the Monday night football game. The Monday night matchup this week is the Panthers against the 49ers. Coming up next, we'll step away from the Titans. Thank God for a little bit. The coaching carousel in college football is now in full effect. The first domino has fallen, and they've been talking about this all week. I love to give my insight on it. I will pose the question to you before the break, and I'll pose the question to the text line and phone lines if you want to call in. If James Franklin, who was obviously just hired at Virginia Tech, they introduced him at the basketball game, came out to Enter Sandman. It was awesome. Anyways, if James Franklin in his tenure at Virginia Tech goes 9-3 every year and titleless, is it still a successful hire for the Hokies? We'll get to that coming next on the other side. Again, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 1025 The Game. Oh, yes. This is like a sad version of it, too.
No, this is the movie version.
No, this is the real version is like really, really upbeat.
Oh, I don't know. This is on YouTube.
Great movie.
Fraser, do you recognize this song?
I'm sorry, I don't.
This is Camp Rock.
That's one of Jake's favorites. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I haven't watched that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's Oscar winning.
I
I
feel
was
like
mad by the second one. The first one was good.
It's incredibly moving franchise.
I feel like I'm out of place. I really do. I need to get with the times.
No, it's just I'm with a different time than you are.
It's fair.
It's funny you were talking about was it Wednesday? We went down a whole like hour and a half rabbit hole, all the guys that were here, of Kids Bop. And we were just like researching. Yeah. It was pretty weird.
Interesting. Okay. Good to know.
615-737-1025. Welcome back in. Next man up. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier with you. Let's talk a little bit of coaching carousel, which has quickly become my new favorite topic on across sports waves. So the first spoke on the wheel is in motion. James Franklin, hired over in Blacksburg at Virginia Tech. He is a Hokie. He will take over next season in Virginia Tech. So obviously we know James Franklin's track record. He is capable of going 9-10 wins every single year, but can't win the big ones, can't bring home the chip, if that makes sense. So I ask you, Nick Frazier, if James Franklin goes to Blacksburg and goes 9-3 every year, which is something Virginia Tech fans can't say they've seen in a long, long time, but goes titleless at Virginia Tech, would you consider that a successful hire for the Hokies?
Absolutely. 100%. Because guess what? Eventually this playoff will expand a little bit and 9-3 teams will be eligible for that playoff. I mean, hell, we might even see it this year with a 9-3 Alabama team potentially, or a 9-3 Oklahoma team, something like that. But the way Virginia Tech has hired James Franklin, the way he recruits in that area, I mean, it's a home run hire, and it's a home run future hire in my own eyes, because this is a team that can compete at for years to come.
I would liken it to kind of what you and I are experiencing right now in the football world. If Kentucky or Mississippi State were to go 9-3 or 10-2 and squeeze into the college football playoff, but not win, I would be ecstatic, because that means my team's on the map. And look, it's not a fan base that demands a lot unless you feed them a lot. If he goes 9-3 and squeezes into the college football playoff and they're continuing to do it year in and year out, yeah, sure, those fans are going to want more. They're going to want to see ACC titles, or we want to make it at least to the semifinals of the college football playoff. And I think that's fair. But as of right now, if he were to go in next year and go 10-2 with the Hokies, that is, first off, an astronomical rebuild with the team that he has right now. And look, I think he's going to be competing at the top of the ACC next year, because I know what kind of coach he is, and I think he's a good coach. But I think if he were to start off to go 9-3 the first couple years, maybe make it to the college football playoff one year, but go titleless, I think that would still be an absolute home run for the Hokies.
Yeah, I mean, next year I don't think they go 9-3. I think they go like 8-4.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's going to take time before he gets to the top.
Right.
Like competing with Clemson, and I mean, Clemson's not all that right now, but competing with Miami and Louisville and teams that are at the Georgia Tech, SMU that are at the top of the ACC. I think he's capable of being right in that pack next year. I don't know if he's completely going to dominate the conference, because he's never been the kind of guy to dominate a conference, but I think he can compete with the top.
Yeah, after year 3 in this James Franklin era at Virginia Tech, a lot of national fans of college football will start to see the evolution of the Franklin era, because he now has that full recruiting class in there. You know what you can play with. You can pick your plays you like, you don't like, stuff like that. That is exactly what Virginia Tech Hokie fans want to see, is that evolution of the James Franklin era develop after year 3. And I think that's where it comes into the equation of the ACC. And you made a great point about how he can dominate this conference. And I think he can dominate it with ease, in 2 years
Yeah.
because
the portal exists.
the portal exists, the NIL, we get all that. But let's be honest, Connor. The ACC is not a strong conference when it comes to college football. You're looking at the Big Ten and the SEC.
You're looking at a team or a conference that this year has the potential to not get a single team in if things play out the way that they could.
Look, if we had the Pac-12 still, as a Power 5 of conferences,
God rest its soul.
I know, right? It would. The ACC is currently in the position the Pac-12 was the very last year. They were a power conference. They were the little brother to the SEC and the Big Ten. That's where I think James Franklin can capitalize and say, we can get an automatic bid in the ACC if we just win 9 games or 10 games, something like that. Make it to the ACC championship. That's all James Franklin really needs. I mean, sure, do you think, Penn State fans are upset with the way things ended? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
that's a job no one's talking about, too. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. It's a tough shoes to fill.
I'm with Chase, though, on who I think is going to get that job.
Who's that?
Pat Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I could see that. He does understand the Big Ten, philosophies of football. I mean, I get all that. That is a good little idea. I never thought about that.
Well, I instilled the idea into Chase, and Chase instilled it into Big Joe that James Franklin was going to Florida. Obviously, we were wrong.
I thought it'd be Florida State if they fired Mike Norvell.
Well, that's coming.
Yeah,
trust me. A lot of your texts to get to on this matter, and a lot of Virginia Tech fans on the text line.
Really,
we welcome them. 615-737-1025. JP on the text line says, all I want to see as a fan is us to come back to consistency that Frank Beamer had us at, where we went to like 8 straight ACC championships and had like 12 straight 9-10 win seasons. That's from JP circa Devin and Dixon. So I think that is kind of the constant. 6641 says, considering VT hasn't had 9 wins and still no championships since 2017, why would that not be a success? Agree with you there.
Well, let me answer that question a little bit.
Go.
In today's day and age of college football, and I use this phrase all the time, microwave society, college football fans, and I was one of them. I got bit by the bug this year with Mississippi State. I thought, oh my goodness, they upset Arizona State.
They can still go bowling though.
Yeah, they just have to beat Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl, which again was part of my prediction last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But that's besides the point. The true point is we live in this microwave society of college football where everything happens at the snap of a finger.
Yep.
And people don't realize it takes a little time for things to develop. And to the texture 6641, why would it not be a success? I'm with you. I think it would be a success. But the reason why it would not be a success is because people would get too impatient with the situation and they go, oh,
it would gradually become not a success.
Correct.
The first few years, I think it would be hell yeah, sign us up. We're back to relevancy. Then as you start seeing kind of the same thing, maybe this is our ceiling, then I think that's when fans would get restless.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, I think Hokie fans can look at this and be like, yeah, he can't win the big games, but I would love to be back in a big game in the first place. So 9013 says, I'm an NC State fan, so I'd be very happy with 9-3. I believe Tech fans will take it as long as you beat Virginia every year. I think that's kind of how you and I would feel if this were our teams. I'd take it as long as you beat Louisville. You'd take it as long as you beat Ole Miss.
It just takes the right coach.
Yeah.
Like with Dan Mullen, he put Mississippi State on the map. They made a bunch of stadium
on
expansions.
an extreme level.
Yeah. I mean, they were the first team. They were the first team ever in the college football playoff era to be ranked number 1 when they had the little voting thing or whatever it is.
Oh, Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
that was such a fun team.
Great team indeed. But like that, to the point of that is that you got to find the coach that will put you back on the map. And James Franklin's definitely that guy.
Yeah, I think on paper, it's a home run hire. I think he's capable of getting some guys and some recruits that are going to help put this program back to relevancy. And I think you got to be a little bit patient. It's not going to be, oh my God, James Franklin's 12-0 in his first season at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I think you're right. He'll probably go 8-4, 9-3. But that is a hell of a lot more relevant than Virginia Tech has been since like 2017.
And if you're a Virginia Tech fan too, you got to remember you're not paying the front part of James Franklin's contract. If my memory serves me right, when I was on with Jake on Tuesday, he's getting paid $9 million from Penn State. Is that right?
Yes.
And then
it like negated $9 million from his buyout or something like that.
Yeah, it was a big buyout. But yeah, along those lines of there's not a lot of financial, not strength, but like financial strictness coming to all
Right.
that. So something
Yeah.
to look into.
Something to look into. 615-737-1025. Your thoughts on James Franklin. Will he be a successful hire for Virginia Tech? Let's get into the bigger picture on the other side. With James Franklin off the board, obviously not going to these open jobs like Florida or LSU or, well, he just got fired from Penn State, but Arkansas. With James Franklin off the board, who are the ideal coaches for those remaining open jobs and even jobs yet to be open, like Florida State?
I got one that may surprise you because I saw some news about it on Twitter. Not too
There you
long
go.
ago.
615-737-1025 is the phone number if you've got thoughts on that. We'll get to that on the other side right here on Next Man Up. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on 1025 The Game. Look, Frazier knows this one, and I don't. Is this, don't tell me.
You got it.
Ella Langley?
Bingo.
Bingo. I like it.
Incredible.
She's like the princess of country music right now because Lainey Wilson's the queen.
What about, where does Meg Maroney fall into this conversation?
I don't know, honestly.
Overrated.
Those two got her beat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I'm
this
not
is
a
better.
Megan Maroney fan.
I like this. Good job. The
Yeah.
Commodores will take on that team out in Lexington, Kentucky, tomorrow at First Bank Stadium. Pregame begins at 1 p.m. on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan with kickoff at 2:30. Vanderbilt football brought to you by Gary Ford's Acura, Jimmy Kelly's Steakhouse, and Smoky Mountain Tops. Let me also tell you that if you're looking for a great spot to pregame before the Titans game at Nissan Stadium this Sunday, stop by John Bon Jovi's and pregame with 102.5 The Game. JBJ's is the best food on Broadway, cold beer and cocktails, and stunning skyline views, including 2 epic rooftops. Pregame show is brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Circa Sportsbook, Kentucky. So, welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman out today. He is over at Memorial Gymnasium calling Vanderbilt women as they take on Alabama State. Again, they are on the air at 10:45 over on 94.9 The Fan. So, I am in with you as well as Nick Frazier. We're talking about the coaching carousel. The first spoke on the wheel has struck. James Franklin goes to Virginia Tech. And we kind of touched on what a successful season for them looks like, what a successful hire for them looks like. So let's broaden our horizons here a little bit, Frazier. With Franklin off the board, who are the ideal coaches for the remaining open jobs and even some that have yet to be open? Obviously, LSU's out there. Florida's out there. I think Mike Norvell and Florida State are coming to an end.
Yep.
Arkansas is out there. Penn State is out there. There are going to be some other ones that open up as well. Who are some ideal coaches for remaining jobs?
We all know that the big name in the G5 out of South Florida is Alex Golesh.
Yep.
That's one guy that's kind of staying on my radar right now. I saw something on Twitter, I think 4 days ago, give or take, 3 days ago. It's his 21st, so 2 days ago, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
He canceled his radio hit with, I think, like 95.3. It's like the Tampa radio area. So he normally does a weekly hit with them for South Florida football. And if you're canceling that, something's happening. Something's brewing because they're not making their AAC championship game. They're not going to the
their
playoff.
Season's over.
Right. They're just playing for a big bowl game, essentially. But to that point, though, teams like Florida State that we're I'm just saying in general, hopefully that opens up because that's going to be a hot commodity job in the ACC.
Yeah.
You also got to look at Oklahoma State. Everybody keeps forgetting about Mike Gundy's no longer there.
Yeah.
That's another spot where Golesh could go. I'm trying to think of some other spots.
Everyone for Golesh says Florida. And I can see it because it's in state.
Yeah.
But if I'm Florida, I don't want to go the G5 route again because people forget Billy Napier, when he was hired at Florida, was Alex Golesh.
Mm-hmm.
He was that darling G5 coach that everyone wanted to see. Oh, he's the next generation of coaches. He's going to help build this program for the future. And then it didn't work out. I don't know if they want to go that route again because they would be going back to square one. And maybe Golesh would be a better hire than Napier was. But I feel like Florida, with the job it is and the donors that they have, especially a certain former Florida head coach, I feel like they would want to see an established guy. That's why I kind of threw out James Franklin out there. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition, but obviously they're all in on Lane Kiffin. And it's a matter of what does Lane Kiffin do? And allegedly, Ole Miss has given him an ultimatum, which he denied, but he's going to say coach things. I think Florida would like an established guy out there. And Lane is obviously their first choice. I could see them going after who's out there? Who would be out there willing to leave?
I mean, there's
maybe like PJ Fleck over at Minnesota or
something
like that.
To me, I think PJ Fleck's complacent in Minnesota.
I do too.
The point where they love him there. They don't want him to go. I mean, sure, they've had a lot of stagnant seasons where they kind of end up middle of the pack, but they're always going bowling for the most part. You can't, discredit that. One name that's kind of everybody, throws out there is just for fun, but Ed Orgeron, like that's a guy that everybody's like, oh Lord, Ed Orgeron, whatever. But no, seriously, that's a guy you gotta have to consider because he was an interim coach with Ole Miss for a time, I think, and then he coached at USC for a little bit, and all that stuff. He was all over the place. But
yeah,
You have a guy like that loves football, wants to get back into it. Why not? Give him a little bit of a coaching bump.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him going to like Oregon State.
I could see him going to Florida.
Really?
I really could, but because you look at a team in Florida right now that's dysfunctional, you have a lot of really good talent, especially in the quarterback DJ Lagway. In my opinion, I thought Billy Napier kind of was holding Lagway back a little bit.
Mm.
You look at a guy like Ed Orgeron, that's a guy that kind of gives you that interim head coach bump. You know what I mean? Like when everybody thought, there you go Tigers, exactly. Everybody thought, with Mike McCoy, he'd give a little bit of a interim head coach bump for the Titans. It didn't really work out.
No, it's
with
the
Ed,
opposite.
With Ed Orgeron, you can kind of get that a little bit. And if you have a full offseason along with the NIL and the portal, it could bring Florida back to relevancy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
To me, Ed Orgeron, I don't think he's capable of landing a big job like that. Like I could see him landing at like Oregon State or maybe Arkansas is probably the highest he can go. But I think his time's passed.
But here's the thing, though. If Florida can go grab Billy Napier from what? Louisiana Tech? Is that where he was at beforehand? Louisiana Tech, is that right, Parker?
Please throw some respect on the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Louisiana. My bad.
Jeez, okay. They're people too. The group of five are people too.
Yeah,
I know.
Fraser,
But what I'm
okay?
saying
Yeah.
is that like
Stop G5 hate.
Connor made the point earlier of how Florida doesn't want to go back to that G5, aspect of hiring a head coach. I'm in the same boat. Then that would have to mean look at a guy like Ed Orgeron. He's done a lot of good stuff for the game of college football, especially at the Power 5 or now Power 4 level.
Yeah. Can I give you a hot one
Sure.
for the LSU job? That is a job I think they will go for the next up and coming G5 guy. I don't think they hire a college coach. I think they hire a certain offensive coordinator out in Buffalo, New York.
Bingo.
Bring back Joe Brady. He is beloved there. I think donors would buy in on him. He is one of the reasons they have maybe their greatest quarterback in program history in Joe Burrow. So I think they might be willing to take a chance on him.
And also, too, you add on to all the Joe Brady talk, it gives him time to develop as a play caller, two, a bona fide coach, head coach that is, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he's familiar with everything. If you can prove yourself as a true head coach, then you can make that jump back up to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think it gives you confidence as a coach. And we all know that a head coach job right now in the NFL, there's a few of them open, and there is a lot of spots that need to be filled. And when you don't have, when you can't supplement for a good head coach and you're searching for things, sometimes it's good to take a couple steps back, then go up.
I think he would make sense there. I think he would do well there. I think he would help recruiting. He would obviously call his own plays, and I think he's a great offensive play caller. I just feel like his style of offense fits college football so well. And I think LSU likes him enough to bring him in. I think Joe Brady would be a great hire for LSU.
Absolutely.
And I think second would probably be John Sumrall.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him going to Florida.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Yeah. Kind of the same argument. I don't know if they would go G5, but
I know. I kind of
Well, he actually he was scheduled to meet with Florida, and then he canceled it.
Oh,
So
maybe he likes Tulane. Maybe he's just locked in on Tulane.
I think Auburn is a legit possibility with Sumrall.
Oh,
I keep forgetting about all.
yeah, Auburn. I would not take the Auburn job if I was anyone.
Really?
Auburn has the expectation to win a national championship every year, but they're not patient enough to let the rebuild happen. And then they make a terrible hire. Like when Hugh Freeze was hired, we all knew it was a bad hire.
Yeah.
Like he did a lot at Liberty, but he didn't, it wasn't, we knew what he was, right?
Yeah.
Like at Ole Miss, we knew what he was. And he was good at Ole Miss, but then things happened and he got fired and went to Liberty and did good things there, but we knew what he was. So when Auburn hired him, we all thought, that's got 6-6 written all over it. And sure enough, it did. And now they're even worse than that. So administration there, I think, is too quick triggered. I think they're too trigger happy and fire guys on the spot without letting the rebuild process happen. So if I am a guy looking at Auburn, don't.
I mean, if Auburn finds the head coach they want and they fall in love with them, I feel like you got to be a little patient with them, right? You have to.
You have to, but
Yeah.
they won't. That's the problem.
Yeah, we'll see. Scott Strickland is the athletic director over at. Oh no, I'm sorry, John Cohen, former Mississippi State baseball head coach.
John
Excuse
Cohen.
me. Yeah, John Cohen's the AD over there, so we'll see what he does. But it's just I don't know the impatience in the SEC. Obviously, every year you want to be a big winner, but it just takes time.
You know what? Let's continue this conversation.
Okay.
To start the next hour. Because coaching carousel's fun.
Oh, yeah.
615-737-1025. The game. Sorry, 1025 is the phone number.
Yeah.
If you've got thoughts on the coaching carousel, where people will land, potential sleepers to land jobs, we'll get to all of it next. In the second hour of the program, quickly, let me tell you that this Sunday, the NFL game of the week is the Eagles versus Cowboys at 3:25 p.m. on 1025 The Game. NFL game of the week presented by Circa Sportsbook Kentucky and Macero in 12 South. We'll get to more of the coaching carousel thoughts on the other side. Nick Frazier, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly here with you on 1025 The Game. Next man up, hour number 2 here on 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. If you're looking for Jake, he'll be on 94.9 in about 45 minutes to call Vandy women as they take on Alabama State for their education game. Hopefully they don't score 67 points because it will deafen half of Nashville. So I am here, Connor Newt. Nick Frazier is here. Parker Kelly behind the glass. Talking a little bit of coaching carousel, which has quickly become my favorite topic. It was a college football video game for a long time, and now that that's been out for a while, this is more fun. So we've kind of hit on James Franklin, what a successful season for him looks like. Now that he's at Virginia Tech, what are some of the open jobs, open possibilities across the nation? A texter threw out an interesting name during the break. Tommy on our text line, 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, don't forget Jimbo Fisher is out there. Jimbo, I think, is a has-been. I don't think anyone wants to take a chance on Jimbo Fisher because he's similar to Dabo Swinney, in my opinion, in that he can't really access the portal. He's a part of that older generation of coaches that the game has kind of passed them by. I would not, and he's going to ask for a lot of money too. I would not go after Jimbo Fisher if I'm one of these big time jobs.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Jimbo Fisher, great coach in his day. We get all that. It's more of Jimbo Fisher, and you made a good point. NIL, all that stuff. I think it may have passed him, but I don't know if the coaching, his style, I don't know if it really sticks in today's college football.
It's too conservative.
Yeah.
And college football has become very quickly up-tempo offenses. Look at some of these G5 programs.
In the backyard, Tennessee.
Yeah,
Heupel.
Tennessee. Up-tempo, Vanderbilt, down the street. Up-tempo, I mean, they run the clock out, but they run a high-tempo offense when they're actually running plays. Yeah. It has quickly become a trend. I don't know if Jimbo matches that. So that's just kind of how I feel about Jimbo Fisher. Let me ask you about one guy that's getting a lot of love, and he's semi-local. Ryan Silverfield at Memphis. I could see him sneaking into a job like Arkansas or Auburn, or I don't think he can land the big one like Florida or LSU, but I could see him slipping into an Arkansas or an Auburn or UCLA or something like that.
You made a great point in talking about Arkansas. Arkansas is a team kind of like the James Franklin situation. You're in the area, you already recruit in that, jurisdiction, might as well, go to a bigger school that's a Power 4 team and try and elevate your play a little bit, elevate your coaching status, and see if you can bring some of those guys you recruit at the Memphises of the world and see, hey, maybe we can actually get something going here in the SEC, because we all know the SEC is a tough conference to play in. Like I said, they are the two big brothers to the little brother of the ACC.
I really like Ryan Silverfield. He's done a lot at Memphis. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to compete for a playoff spot this year. It's kind of between them and USF in the American, and both of them keep dropping games. So I don't know how that's going to shake out, but he's won there. And he's kind of, I don't want to say made Memphis relevant, but made them one of the upper echelon teams in the group of 5. And as we're pointing out to you, Frazier, group of 5 is people too.
Hey, I'm not neglecting. I went to school at a group of 5 school, MTSU down the road.
Yeah.
I'm not neglecting it at all.
Yeah.
Division III players are players too.
Okay, now that, I'll get on that. Yeah, you're right.
Film coordinators are people too. High school film coordinators are people
now
too.
we're getting in the weeds here. All right.
Come on, man. That was me.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not if they're at FRA.
I wasn't at FRA. Well, I was last year, but
okay. Good.
Not if they're at JP2.
Yeah.
All right. Easy
Don't
now.
disrespect
All
the
right.
Knights, pal.
Now he's getting into that division.
Now you're getting, now you're crossing the
Father
line.
Ryan's good though.
All right, we're not.
Are you trying to initiate a war here on the
We're
program?
not getting into this. We're not getting into this at all.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's get to some of your calls. Dr. Locke on our phone line. Dr. Locke, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Doing well.
I would in the last A or B, I would probably lean more Father Ryan. I'm more of a Father Ryan guy.
I like that, Dr. Locke. Great,
Yeah.
great answer.
No, I tell you what you guys touched on, just to tag on a few things. Jimbo Fisher, I don't think he's done. I mean, I could see him landing the Arkansas job. And Arkansas is desperate enough that they need a name, and he's a name at least. I mean, he's not, hasn't done anything in a while, but still, Jimbo Fisher, everybody knows him. No one really knows of Arkansas. I think Jimbo and they have the pockets to pay him. I think he could make an Arkansas relevant. As far as James Franklin, I know Parker Kelly. He's from that area like I am. I went to Kellum High School out in Virginia Beach, but he's got to be happy with that hire because James Franklin, to all his shortcomings, winning the big game, the one strength that he can hang his hat on is recruiting. They recruit from that same area, and Virginia Tech has not got the recruits in the last 4 years. That's why they've fallen off. And Penn State, I mean, they were loaded on paper. He just didn't execute it. They had injuries, and that's a whole different story. But he'll recruit well enough to get them back to being relevant. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Dr. Locke. A lot of interesting points there.
No, but to answer his last point when he posed the question, I 100% agree. I think he can recruit that team back into relevancy.
Yeah, I agree with him on some level. Talk to someone from like 2014 and tell them, yeah, Arkansas is going to land a coaching tandem of Jimbo Fisher and John Calipari. How would they feel about that? I agree with him on some level. I think Jimbo would be an outside the box candidate for one of those smaller jobs like that.
Right.
I would anticipate for Arkansas, maybe like Parker and I talk about John Gruden all the time. I think he would do well there. Ryan Silverfield, we were just talking about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't anticipate them going for the big money home run hire, at least in their eyes. But I see what Dr. Locke is saying there. I understand it. That's just not what I would do. But I don't make those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, again, to his question, I'm all about the James Franklin train and how he's going to revolutionize that team through recruiting. Because that's his strong
that was a
suit.
great point.
And Dr. Locke made a good point about how they looked great on paper. Penn State looked great on paper, but can he do that at Virginia Tech? And I think he can, because that's more of his wheelhouse of the heart of the recruiting there. Now, I do have something, and if you're cool with it, I'm going to tease it here. There are a lot of big name coaches that are using the wrong route of Power 5 schools to coach. They need to be going somewhere else.
Okay.
I can tell you that on the other side.
Okay. We'll do that on the other side.
Kenny the Mailman, stick with us.
Kenny the Mailman, we love you. Stick with us. We'll get to you on the other side. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. We'll do that next. Coming up here on Next Man Up. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 1025 The Game. He kept turning my mic. Yeah, and Clay went after him.
Well, it was the dumbest investigation ever. What he found out was she got paid to talk about men not being looking for.
Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier here with you, talking a little coaching carousel. And Nick Frazier, before we get to your interesting idea, we'll go back to our phone lines. Welcome in our good buddy, Kenny the mailman, who has been waiting very patiently on the phone lines. Kenny, good morning.
Hello, good friends. How are y'all doing?
We're doing well.
First of all, Dr. Locke called a minute ago before the commercial. He had a great call. I wasn't familiar with his name, but I hope he calls in more. He did a good job. Has he been calling?
He has. That was actually a positive Dr. Locke call. Usually he calls in to argue with us about SEC versus Big Ten, but I'm glad we got some positivity out of him today.
Well, that's good, too. There's fun both ways.
Right.
Listen, I don't know a whole lot about Virginia Tech, but I was able to listen to a great interview last evening Parker Kelly was a part of with the Virginia Tech reporter in that area. And if you really think about it, the position Virginia Tech was in, they were disgruntled with their coaching staff going into the season. Y'all knew that, right?
Yes.
Before the season, if you'd have told them, if we snapped our fingers and traded staffs with Penn State, how would y'all feel? And they would have gone nuts, because not only is this a Franklin hire, he's going to bring like 9 or 10 of his assistants. Plus the recruiting, they said he is a recruiting expert from that area that Virginia Tech has not done a good job in. Plus 5 or 6 Penn State players have already said they are looking into going to Virginia Tech. This is not going to be a long process at all of being 3 years to rebuild. I don't think they could have done a better job of hiring a coach.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that, Kenny. You're absolutely right on that. The only issue I would have with Virginia Tech is the longevity, kind of what Connor and I were talking about earlier, the longevity of, if the 9 and 3s end up working out. We had a texter say is the success going to work? Like after 9-3, is there going to be a plateau where people are going to be frustrated about it? And I think there will be.
I'm sure there will be, but you have a couple of 4-8 seasons. All of a sudden, 9-3 looks awesome. That's sort of, I get a little ticked off when people say, well, we can't go much further. We can't go much further. Just remember back to the 4-8 days and enjoy some of these bowl games.
Absolutely.
Listen, y'all have a great afternoon. We'll be listening all day long to 102.5.
Thank you, Kenny. We appreciate the call. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties
Yeah,
over
microphone's not being kind today.
here. It's not being very nice to me.
Oh, well. But no, to Kenny's point real quick, like the biggest thing in college football, you got to have that coach that can get you to the next step. I think that's what he was getting to as well.
And I think James Franklin might be that guy. So you had an interesting idea you teased before we went to break.
Yep.
Care to share?
Yes. All these coaches and Ed Orgeron's, the John Grudens of the world, not Lane Kiffin. Actually, you know what? Lane Kiffin is the prime example of what I'm about to explain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go to a Power 5 school and be great. Dan Mullen and Lane Kiffin are both examples of it. Dan Mullen's an example of it right now. Go to a G5 school, recruit out the wazoo, and get a really good team together, and you're always going to be in the talks for a college football playoff bid. Sure, your chances are smaller, but if you know you can dominate your schedule and go undefeated or lose one game in G5 scheduling, you're in the playoff as that auto bid at 12. Lane Kiffin didn't go to the playoff, but FAU, he had a lot of success there. Dan Mullen is having success at UNLV. They've kind of squandered their chance a little bit. I mean, they've lost, 2 games? I mean, they're still in the running for the Mountain West, but it's just you're going to have to let the rest of the season play out.
So what you're saying is you don't have to go to a Power 5 or Power 4 conference school to be a successful coach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you have the right, let's say, manager in some aspects and go, look, in my contract, do me a favor, and my agent to be like, do me a favor. If I make the college football playoff with this G5 school, give me this bonus. Give me this here. All these certain percentages, all these little nooks and crannies in the contract. If you're a good enough coach, you wouldn't turn that opportunity down. You just wouldn't.
Yeah. I think Lane Kiffin comes to mind for me as well, because I'm going to lose a lot of respect for him if he leaves Ole Miss. I honestly think Ole Miss right now is a better job than Florida.
Oh, 100%.
It's not a better job than LSU. And that one, to me, would make more sense as to why he would leave. But I think he's got a good thing going at Ole Miss. I think he's got an opportunity similar to James Franklin in that he can go 9-3, 10-2, and squeeze into the college football playoff every year. And that fan base and that administration will be satisfied.
I think looking at Lane Kiffin's situation when it comes to Ole Miss, LSU, Florida, I look at it this way. LSU has a high standard of whoever we bring in has to be a national championship coach, caliber coach. Lane Kiffin is at that point a little bit. He's on the cusp of being a national championship.
He's capable of it.
Thank you. You look at a program like Florida, who have not seen a national championship in a long time, and it makes you wonder, they have a little bit more leeway when it comes to hiring a coach that can have, like you're talking about with Kiffin, have that pedigree of national championship status. So they have that grace period of like, yeah, you know what? Let's get Lane Kiffin in here because he can get us to where we used to be in 2006 and 2008, 2009 when we had Tim Tebow. Like that's where I feel with the Kiffin hiring, if it does happen with Florida.
I'm weird. I think Florida's going to go for that established national championship caliber coach. I think LSU just did that. So they're willing to go for the developmental guy, a successful G5 guy, or in my case, and a successful NFL coordinator. I think they're willing to do that because they have the resources and the ability to invest into that. Helps a lot when they have the recruiting that they have, the NIL funds, the Nike deals, the TV deals. They got a lot working in their favor. So LSU is still a national brand. That's why I think they're capable of making that choice and it paying off for them. Florida just tried to go that route, thinking they were the national brand that LSU was, and it obviously didn't work out for them because we're talking about them hiring a new coach right now. So I think Florida is going for the home run hire, national champion level coach. LSU, I think, is going for the best option as a future developmental coach as they can. And I say developmental, this isn't minor leagues. Whoever they bring in is going to be a qualified, capable coach. I say developmental because that means they have room to grow, and every coach has room to grow. But I say a guy with not as much head coaching experience, or a guy that has head coaching experience just at a lower level.
Yeah, I 100%. Look, I go back to what I just mentioned earlier about the Power 4 and the G5 differences. I was raised we're all raised the same in a roundabout way, but from the way I look at it, I was raised in a bet on yourself type of guy.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, I obviously. So like,
that's why we're here.
Exactly. If you bet on yourself as a coach and you know you can do what you can do, to me, that's why I see a G5 school more of an appealing job when it comes to trying to make the college football playoff. If you know you're an established, coach. Now, I'm not saying Lane Kiffin needs to go to the G5, but I'm just saying coaches like an Ed Orgeron or whatever. But nonetheless, if a guy like Coach O were to go to the G5, he probably wouldn't take that job because he doesn't want to go down there. If that's the case. And he has a bad success there, or not any success, that is, then, yeah, he probably wouldn't make it back to the Power 4.
615-737-1025. Do I have this correct, Parker? Dr. Locke has called back.
Oh, he's called in with a vengeance.
Oh boy. Is it because I said his name and he appeared?
No, he doesn't like that you said he was negative.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Dr. Locke.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up?
Hey.
Hey, I mean, absolutely negative. All I have to do sometimes when you guys get a little crazy and, you guys want to have like 9 out of 12 SEC teams in the playoffs, and I got to call in and bring you guys back to reality. But negative, no, not negative.
No, not negative. Negative was a poor choice of words for
Constructive criticism.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Okay, but so I called in. Let's go the reverse on LSU. So Brian Kelly should have never been there. He was chasing a natty, thought he had a better chance in LSU than Notre Dame. If he could have done it over again, he definitely would have stayed probably at Notre Dame now with the playoff system and how easy it is for Notre Dame to get in. Everybody wants him there. But he was an Irish Catholic, and Midwest is to Catholicism as SEC is to Baptist, and he's an Irish Catholic, Midwest kind of coach. I think perfect fit. Brian Kelly is Penn State. He was known as a quarterback whisperer at Notre Dame. Should have never been down there. LSU, if you don't wear the colors and you weren't, Bayou raised, LSU ex-player, you've got a very short leash.
Yeah.
You slip up, you're gone. It played out. We saw it. So where does Brian Kelly go? Because Brian Kelly's probably the most capable coach out there. I say I'd love to have him in the Big Ten. He would go to Penn State and immediately have success at Penn State.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Locke. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think Brian Kelly does go to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I don't know if he lands Penn State, but I could see him landing 2 smaller jobs. One is, as Deshaun Foster put it, we're UCLA, we're in LA, we're across the street from USC. I could see him going to UCLA. The other one, they haven't fired their coach yet, but it's trending that way. Go green, go white. Michigan State. I think they're going to fire Jonathan Allen, and they're going to try and get a home run guy in there to rebuild that program. Because a lot of people forget Michigan State was in a college football playoff a few years ago. They were one of the 4. So I think Brian Kelly is going to find his way into the Big Ten. That said, I think his reputation and kind of the things that are coming up now about him and what kind of a person he is are going to keep him out of a Penn State or one of those bigger jobs.
I'll say Michigan State is a harder sell for me just because of the recent probation they were put on. I think they got vacated 13.
That is right.
Months,
yeah. That was just
like
a few days ago.
So it's a little tough to sell a job like that, but you make a great point in UCLA.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. There's just something about that Western atmosphere. It's a program that I think he would be attracted to. They would pay him a lot of money, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would fit well there.
And two, and this is just my assessment of how football in general works. and honestly, in all professional sports and collegiate sports, anytime you're a coach that ends up failing on the East Coast and you go to the West Coast, somehow you resurge your career. And just something with the West Coast air, I don't know.
And he hasn't been out in the West Coast before.
Correct.
He's been a Midwest guy and then found his way to the South.
Which could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
A good thing, and maybe he finds success out West, or a bad thing where he's not familiar with the area of recruiting and so forth, which makes him, a little frustrated as a head coach.
Yeah. One more thing before we head to the break and wrap up the college carousel talk. Distinguished gentleman on the YouTube chat disagrees with me and says, no way Ole Miss is a better job than Florida. Right now, I think it is. Well, Ole Miss is at national contendency right now. Lane Kiffin has proven that he is capable of getting them to relevancy over the past few years. They're getting recruits in. They've got arguably a Heisman capable quarterback right now in Trinidad Chambliss. And I realize he's going to be gone after this year. They've got uniforms. They've got, Oxford's not a big city. The only thing I think Florida has right now is donors and the city they're located in. Yep. But as long as Lane Kiffin is there, I think donors are going to come along. I think recruits are going to come along. And I think he has the capability of coaching them up to be a national contender every single year. So that's why I think Ole Miss is a better job than Florida.
It may be a better job, but when it comes right now, but when it comes to Florida, there are more resources for Lane Kiffin.
Right.
100%.
I would agree with that. 615-737-1025 is the competition. The phone number if you want to chime in on the conversation. When we come back, we'll get into some actual games being played in college football. Vanderbilt, big one tomorrow against a team that is just God's favorite team. I'm just kidding. They play Kentucky tomorrow at First Bank Stadium. I'm going to tell you why I think it's a sneaky game for the Wildcats. Coming up next, Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Oh, yeah. Nothing says WGF between us like our girl Tate McRae does. She's the best.
Nothing says White Girl
I
Friday.
mean, if there's a
like
Mount
some Tate McRae.
Rushmore of White Girl Friday, it's Tate McRae, Sabrina Carpenter. I would throw Madison Beer in there.
Big Time Rush.
And
Big Time Rush has
and
to be
Big
in
Time
there.
Rush. Those are probably the four artists that just drive White Girl Friday. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. The MTSU Blue Raiders will take on Sam Houston tomorrow at 2 p.m. Catch all the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Let me also tell you tomorrow's college football game of the week is my Kentucky Wildcats at number 14 Vanderbilt at 2:30 p.m. on 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Restaurants and Kentucky and Circa Sportsbook Kentucky. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and thegamenashville.com. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier stepped out for just a second, so myself and Parker Kelly will keep you covered here shortly.
I guess we'll hold it down.
We'll hold it down.
We'll try not to get the show canceled.
We'll
in the
try
process.
not to get it canceled. So, Vanderbilt in action tomorrow at First Bank Stadium to take on Kentucky. And look, on paper, Vanderbilt should handle business. I believe they're 8.5-point favorites at home over the Wildcats. That said, I will be the first one to tell you, Kentucky's playing some good ball right now. I don't think I'll preface this by saying I don't think they'll win the game, but I think they're capable of covering. I think Cutter Boley is playing his best football right now, the quarterback for Kentucky. And if you're unfamiliar, he is a kid from the state. He is a Mark Stoops recruit, and he has kind of come in this season as they originally started Zach Calzada. Calzada sucked. He didn't get his money up.
He's flexing his money.
He's flexing his money. And Garrett, since you don't got your own money, you can count mine. Don't lose count. It's a fantastic video. Anyways, Cutter has stepped in. He has delivered. He is truly looking like the franchise, but the cornerstone quarterback of the program moving forward, which is exactly what has saved Mark Stoops' job. I think they're playing great football right now, on both sides of the ball. You look at between the two losses of Ole Miss and Texas, it was a combined 10 points. They are 10 points away from having a completely different season than the one they have right now. That said, I think they're playing with their lives on the line as they're looking for bowl eligibility. If they beat one of Vanderbilt and Louisville, they are going bowling. If they beat both, they're going 7-5 in a year they were picked to finish second to last in the SEC.
Oh, I remember. I remember when those conversations were had.
Yeah.
I was one of them that participated in that.
I was one of them that participated.
But that was also because I thought Zach Calzada would be the starting quarterback for the entire year, which is not
Right.
the truth.
Right. And he hasn't been. Cutter has come in, and much to the pleasure of QB Vision, he has delivered. So I think this is a sneaky game if you're Vanderbilt. I think this is a trap game. You've got Tennessee next week, and that's a rival. As Parker's flexing the QB Vision, baby. Let's go. I think this is a trap game for Vanderbilt. They've got Tennessee next week. And look, they got to win out if they want to make the CFP. That's just the bottom line. Obviously, they're going to need help, but the only thing they can control is their own destiny. They've got to win out. So maybe that gets into their heads. Again, I don't think Kentucky is going to win the game. I think they have the opportunity to cover. But I think this is a trap game. I think Kentucky's playing some good defense. I think they're clicking on offense for some reason. Vanderbilt is a good team, a very good team. But I think this is just a trap game for them. 615-737-1025. Resident Wildcat fan, Dustin in Hopkinsville, says that was the whole issue. The QB went down. We put in our raw freshman, and it took time, but he's coming around.
No, Cutter looks incredible for Kentucky.
Yeah.
He looks really, really good.
And look, I still think Stoops is maybe not the answer long-term at coaching for Kentucky, but I think he saved his job this season. Similar to Billy Napier last year, he put in DJ Lagway, and that kind of saved his job. Stoops put in Cutter Boley this year, and I think that's kind of turned their season around. The big win over Auburn, and I realize that's not necessarily a huge win to hang your hat on, but that turned their season around. Then they go out the next week and beat Florida by a hefty margin. and then they handle business against Tennessee Tech. Now they're looking at 1 win away from being bowl eligible. They've got momentum on their side. And I think it's just, it's going to be a trap game. It's going to be something you're looking at. Our buddy Trey has called in. Let's go to the phone lines, hear what he's got to say. Trey, good morning.
Morning. How y'all doing?
We're doing well.
Hey, I just want to say a couple things as far as Cam Ward, as far as his mental progression. I firmly believe that we have to just stop trying to say what he did in college and, the steps that he, was able to, who he was supposed to be in college. Because the NFL is a totally different animal. It's like you have to reinvent who you are as a player he doesn't have limited ability, but he has some real bad limited ability. And I just say that to say this, he has to transcend mentally, because I feel like that, Jimi Hendrix didn't become Jimi Hendrix overnight. He played in the back of a doo-wop band. Martin Luther King didn't become Martin Luther King overnight. Cam Ward is not going to become the Cam Ward NFL player overnight. And he needs some work. His physical ability. My son, 13 years old, is Jeffrey Simmons' side.
Yeah.
He plays football right now on the line at East Cheatham. He's the biggest kid in the school. And he's learning tape right now to where he'll be able to do things, in the long run. But Cam, he has the ability. I just wish he would get things, right mentally, and that would transcend throughout the team with the coaches, with Mike McCoy. Everybody will be happy, but it starts with him, So that's what I got, guys, and y'all have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all doing a good job today.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Trey, for
Way to read the room, Trey.
for introducing some Cam Ward hate in the middle of a college football segment. I really appreciate it.
So what did I miss?
We're just
Cam Ward's a bust, and the Titans
Yeah.
need to trade
Cam
him.
Ward's a bust, and the Titans need to trade him, even though we're talking about Vanderbilt, Kentucky. But I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the words of encouragement.
Cool.
Here we go. I've been waiting for this one. We're talking about Kentucky Vanderbilt.
Oh, yes.
Our good friend Dustin in Hawkinsville is on the line to give us a little preview. Dustin, what's up, buddy?
Good morning. I mainly just called to tell Trey to read a damn room. We're talking about my Wildcat.
I mean, I didn't want to
So
be I didn't rude. I just let him finish.
I did. That was the body bag, so call the corner.
All right.
No, guys, I respect Vandy a lot, and I've been rooting for him. But today, or this weekend, I got to go with my Cats. I kind of want y'all to beat us because I want y'all to go to down there, wherever the hell the Vols play.
Neyland.
Yeah, Neyland. Yeah, it's forgettable for me. So. But I want to see that be a good game. Not just I want to have it some meaning. But I got to root for my Wildcats, and they're playing good, so they actually are something to root for. But yeah, Trey, it's the rerun every day. You hate Cam Ward, he sucks. Mike McCoy, this line that. Hey man, read the room. See y'all.
Thanks, Dustin. Yeah, I don't condone Trey hate because I think he's a good person, but to his credit, read a room, pal.
Hey.
But I'm here to talk about what you want to talk about, not what I want to talk about.
I guess I missed the whole Vandy Kentucky conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about how this is kind of a sneaky game for Vanderbilt. I
Yeah.
think this is kind of a trap situation.
You really think so?
They've got Tennessee next week.
Even with Pavia being possibly his last home game,
I mean, that plays a factor. It's senior day. This is probably the last time Vanderbilt's going to play in First Bank Stadium. If they make the playoff, they're probably going on the road.
Yeah.
So I just think there's a lot of factors that play into this one. You've got Tennessee next week. You've got to win out if you want to make the college football playoff. Obviously, you need some help too, but the only thing they can control is winning out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kentucky's playing good football right now. Cutter Boley's a good quarterback. I think Stoops has saved his job through Cutter.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some big win, maybe not on, resume standpoint, but for the sake of the program, Kentucky's got big wins. I mean, they've kind of turned it around. Big win over Auburn, massive win over Florida. They just blew them out. And then they handled business last week against Tennessee Tech.
tight game with Texas. Can't forget about
Tight
that.
game. Yeah, I was
Overtime.
just saying that between the Ole Miss loss and the Texas loss, a combined 10 points. So they are 10 points away from having a completely different season than the one they're having right now. That said, if Kentucky wins one of the next two games, they're going bowling.
Yeah.
So they're playing for a lot. Vanderbilt obviously playing for a lot too, playing for a spot in the college football playoff, which is much more than the Gasparilla Bowl. But
Not more than the Pop-Tarts Bowl, though.
well, unfortunately, the Pop-Tarts Bowl only carries Big 10 versus ACC. Or, I'm sorry, Big 12 versus ACC.
It's hands down my favorite bowl game outside of the Rose Bowl.
Oh,
Those are my two favorite bowl games.
Those are by far my two, too. So I don't know where you stand on this, Frazier. I'm just kind of on the, I wouldn't pick Kentucky to win. I'd pick them to cover. But this could be a trap.
Look, Vanderbilt has proved the nation wrong all year long. Why would this game be any different?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. People that are saying, oh, this could be a little bit of a trap game. It could be maybe Kentucky's day on Saturday.
Maybe it's Big Blue Homerism.
Maybe. I don't know. But like looking at the way Vanderbilt plays against these smaller teams, if they want to have a true, I guess, resume for the college football playoff, they have to take care of business against Kentucky.
Agreed.
Meaning they have to win like 31-13 or 31-10, kind of what
Margin
they did.
of victory.
Yeah, kind of what they did with Virginia Tech a little bit in South Carolina. Like those are games where you have to put up 30-40 points on teams that are at the bottom of the totem pole. You just can't be playing with your food too much. That's kind of what I have a feeling with Vanderbilt is when they're in a key position in the season, they cannot be playing with their food. Simple as that.
Agree.
The run game has been real good for them all season long. We've seen what Eli Stowers can do, and that's something that is something you got to keep your eye on for sure.
Yeah,
that we saw in the Texas game when they were down by a lot. There were things, maybe you call it garbage time touchdowns or garbage time yards, whatever. But the way Vanderbilt was moving the ball in that Texas game, you kind of hope that's what happens in the Kentucky game this Saturday.
I agree with you. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you've got thoughts on the matchup this week. We'll continue to take your thoughts and more insight on the Vanderbilt-Kentucky game. Coming up next, here on Next Man Up, Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 1025 The Game. Oh, I feel like I know this. Who is this?
Addison Ray.
Oh, that is the ultimate white girl. Although I think she changed her name. She's just Addison now.
Oh, I would have never known that.
I just saw it on TikTok. Anyways, welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. If you're looking for Jake Lyman, he is on the air over on 94.9 The Fan right now, calling Vanderbilt women's basketball as they take on Alabama State in an education game. So Alabama. So that's where he is right now. So we're talking about Vanderbilt and Kentucky. I think it is a not trash. It is a trap game. I'm curious of your thoughts on the text line, 615-737-1025. Scott on the text line says, calling this game a trap game for Vanderbilt is ridiculous in my opinion. Literally everything on the line and only 2 games left. This game means just as much as next week's game. There is no trap. I see what you're saying there. I agree with you. They are playing for everything on the line at this point in the season. If you win out and you get the help you need, you are probably in the college football playoff, which is historical for this program. And honestly, this is the first time in my lifetime and maybe in history we can truly say that Vanderbilt football controls their own destiny here. However, I think that if you look at the matchup and look at the team Vanderbilt has compared to the team Kentucky has, I think it could be considered a trap game because Vanderbilt is going to go into this game expecting to win. Kentucky is going to go into this game expecting to shock the world, put on the upset, clinch bowl eligibility, while Vanderbilt is playing for their season. I mean, I understand. Maybe it's only a trap game from the perspective of the Blue fans. Maybe you're right. Vanderbilt playing for everything on the line, Kentucky playing for bowl eligibility. But the way I see it, I think Vanderbilt may be looking ahead to next week's matchup. That's a game they've been talking about all season. Diego Pavia has talked the talk. It'll be time to walk the walk next week. It's a rivalry game. You're in one of the hardest places to play in the entire country in Neyland Stadium. I feel like this is a trap game. It's just, I don't know. Maybe Vanderbilt doesn't consider it a trap game, but I feel like I do. I feel like a lot of the nation would. A trap game to me is you're looking ahead to a game that is arguably more bigger than the current game you're playing right now. Kentucky should not beat Vanderbilt by any means necessary. They should not beat Vanderbilt. But what if they do? What if they go in and do? Because Vanderbilt is looking ahead to the future, looking ahead to Tennessee, looking ahead to the college football playoff. And I understand when you're a good team like Vanderbilt is, you go in expecting to win every game. I understand that. But this is a game next week against Tennessee that has been talked about all year. We have talked about the scenario that what if Vanderbilt has to win against Tennessee to go into the college football playoff? That is the definition of a trap game because we've been talking about this all year. Next week, Vanderbilt has the opportunity to go to the college football playoff by beating Tennessee, a game that they've been talking about all year. And I just feel like this is a trap game. A lot of you disagree with me, and that's okay.
I strongly disagree.
That's okay.
As I'm back.
That's okay.
This is a Vanderbilt team that's put together way better than Kentucky right now. Sure, Kentucky's probably trying to end out their season on a high note, but as for Vanderbilt, they have a lot to play for as well. And, you know, when you try to play spoiler, which is what Tennessee's going to do next week, you look at a team in Vanderbilt where
they're playing 2 teams that are trying to play spoiler.
Correct. And that's always a tough back-to-back type thing, especially one that's a rivalry game and the other one's just, you know, one of those local, you know, I wouldn't say rivalry games, but a local game where it means a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a border
state
war.
line. Yeah, the border war, exactly. So you got to put that into a factor, but you also have to look at it as if Vanderbilt ends up winning against Kentucky and you have 1 or 2 of those dominoes fall in the top 12, then you're playing for something.
Yeah.
You're really playing for something.
I think we have different definitions of the term trap game.
Yeah.
The way I see it, Vanderbilt's been looking ahead to this game next week all year. Kentucky's coming in trying to beat you. And look, Vanderbilt, I understand, goes into every game being the team that they are expecting to win. That's just the mentality they have and the mentality Clark Lee has instilled. They're going to come into this one expecting to win too. Kentucky's coming in expecting to play spoiler and knock you out of the college football playoff. That's a trap, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Quickly, let's go to our phone lines. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, 615-737-1025. Welcome in George to the program. George, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I'd just like to mention, and this is the first time I've heard his name mentioned in the last conversation here, the coach at Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, has this team so well coached and well grounded. They've certainly heard the narrative about a trap game. And I think you said, you mentioned recently, they go into every game expecting to win. Yes, they're confident, but they play the game one at a time. It's the way they're coached. They're just so grounded that, yeah, I mean, you can call it a trap game because it's obvious that Tennessee's next week and everybody's looking forward to that. But I just like the way these guys are such mature football players. They expect to win because they know how to win now. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, thanks, George. I appreciate the call. I appreciate the point. I think it's a fair point. And look, maybe trap game is more of a fan perspective than a player and coach perspective. He's right. Coaches and players take games one at a time. But I'm just saying, I'm making the argument for the sake of making the argument. But I do truly believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think a lot of players that play in college football and then even professionals, they know trap games can kind of get in your head psychologically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the
I
factor.
have no doubt that Clark Lee is going to say, guys, this team wants to beat you. We'll worry about next game. We'll focus on this one right now. And again, I preface this conversation by saying I think Vanderbilt is going to win this game. I think Kentucky may cover, but I think Vanderbilt is going to win this game. I'm just saying, there are a lot of things riding on Vanderbilt right now. Kentucky doesn't have as much to lose as Vanderbilt does. So
Very true.
I'm thinking maybe that gets into their head a little bit.
I'm just in a different category of all this. I think Vanderbilt, I wouldn't say blows them out of the water, but definitely puts up.
But you know what I appreciate about
21
this? This is respectful debate.
Sure.
Between me and you, between me and the text line.
No, Connor, you're dead wrong.
Yeah.
Get off the air.
Yeah, get off the air. Look, this is my first argument with the text line. So I appreciate it being a healthy debate. 615-737-1025 is the phone line. We'll continue the conversation coming up next. Plus, got a little bit of Preds thoughts to get into. We'll do that coming up next. Here on Next Man Up, Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on 1025 The Game. Final hour, next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you. If you're looking for Jake Lyman, he is over on 94.9 The Fan calling Vanderbilt women's basketball as they take on Alabama State for an early morning bout. I believe it's the education game. So that means all the students from across Middle Tennessee area are being bussed in as I guess their field trip to watch the Lady Doors do battle.
6-7.
Yeah, hopefully they don't score 67 points. Or even if it, like early in the game, it's like 6-7.
Did you hear about the NBA news?
I don't keep up with
The
that
Philadelphia
garbage league.
76ers are going to rebrand
Really?
to the 67ers.
Oh, good one.
Man. 6-7.
Yeah, great one.
Good knee slapper there, Parker.
Yeah,
Great
it's a
knee
great
slapper.
one. Fun conversation over the last hour and a half of college football.
Yeah.
We'll take a little break from that. Let's talk a little bit of Preds hockey.
Sure.
Right now. Obviously, the big story of the week is Andrew Burnett has retained his job for the time being. The Sweden trip, I guess, coming away with a win did something for him.
Mm-hmm.
Trotz is clearly showing patience with Andrew Burnett. And that's because I think David Poyle showed a lot of patience with Barry Trotz as a coach. So Barry Trotz is trying to reciprocate that by showing patience to Andrew Burnett, who was one of his players on that team. My concern here is the patience Barry Trotz is showing Bruno right now, is that going to come back to bite him as we await? And I listened to you guys talk to Greg Wyshynski yesterday, and he raised an interesting point about why Andrew Burnett is here. And it makes sense to me. They don't want to pay someone else to come in here for a non-Stanley Cup contending team. And that makes sense. But I worry that by keeping Andrew Burnett around, and obviously his system is not gelling well with the current pieces he has in place, I worry that by keeping him around, we're digging a bigger hole. We're digging a deeper hole so that when Burnett is relieved of duties, the next guy that comes in here has more of a challenge.
I'm torn. Again, back to the first, hour of the show, I was torn with the old Titans topic. I'm torn with this Preds topic too, because listening to Robbie and Joe talk about it this morning and listening to the clips that Barry Trotz said yesterday on DVD, I'm with Robbie on this. I did not like the message that Trotz was giving, saying the coaches are really working their tails off. And,
obviously not enough.
Right. I get the outcomes are not what they want it to be. And I get that you look at Trotz's perspective of trying to not please everybody, but definitely try and keep the message bright for the Preds. And when you try to keep the message bright with the coaches, it kind of reflects on the players a little bit. The players know what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
It's
hard not to.
It's the fact of the matter is maybe Trotz is being a little bit too lenient with Burnett. And that's what I'm a little worried about. And you were also concerned about that as well, because you brought it up just a second ago. But I did not like the messaging when it came to the coaches are busting their tails. I'm sure they are, but they're not busting their tails enough to get the wins.
I agree with Greg. He raised the point yesterday. The only way I could see them just completely biting the head and cutting Andrew Burnett is if they really believe in Carl Taylor down in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I think that would make sense. But the Predators are not a Peter DeBoer away from being a Stanley Cup contending team. They're not. I'll throw Laviolette out there just for the sake of conversation. They're not a top tier coach in the NHL away from being a competitive team. I realize that has happened multiple times. The most recent example is the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
Fired their coach, hire the guy from the Bruins, and, they made the playoffs last year. I realize that is a trend that happens. The Predators are not in that boat right now.
No.
The talent on paper is there. They're not meshing well. And I think they've kind of established themselves as a team that's just kind of there. They're not a Stanley Cup contender.
Another thing out of that Trotz interview from yesterday that kind of struck me a little bit, and you mentioned Carl Taylor's name just now. Trotz still said we're still going to put the young guys into the lineup, meaning if they're going to still do the same thing with Burnett, it makes you wonder, is Carl Taylor on the come up for something like this?
Yeah.
That's my thing. Obviously, you got Luke Richardson there.
That's another factor.
One of those factors.
He's got head coaching experience.
Right. So that's something to look at. But you made a great point when you mentioned Carl Taylor, because he fits the mold and DNA of what the Preds are trying to do. And we've all heard about what great draft picks they're cataloging right now. And, Brady Martin going back to his little home club there and up there in Canada. So you have the young core. You're just trying to capitalize on the vets right now. And right now, you can't really tell what you have, because now you have Yossi and Haig back at the same time. That's where you're going to get your true gauge.
Yeah.
And again, having the week off, I think, is good for the Preds when you come back from Sweden. Luckily, the NHL is generous about that. But when you now are starting to hit the big stretches of games where they have, I think it's like Florida,
Colorado comes to town Saturday.
Yeah.
Colorado's best team in the league right now.
Yeah. So they have a lot of difficult games coming up on their schedule. And if you can capitalize and get at least a couple points out of those games with Robin Yossi and Nick Haig,
yeah,
that is kind of what you need.
You
need results.
This is where veteran leadership plays a factor, right?
Yeah.
You want to see your big time guys step up and win you some games. And that's where Forsberg comes into play. That's where Stamkos comes into play. That's where, Marchessault, Shea, all of these guys that you're paying the big bucks to that haven't performed up to this point. This is where it's their time to shine. And I am hesitant to believe that they're capable of doing so.
And again, something about how you have the young players mixed with the vet players, you're trying to get that right chemistry between the both of them. To me, sometimes I think where the vets mentally are up par above the youngsters supplement where they're not on the ice. To me, that's where I think the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
The youngsters can kind of take the place of where the vets want to be on the ice, that they're just not, because the speed's not there anymore. That's kind of where I'm at on that. And when you look at it, you try to figure out, well, if you're not there, then how do you supplement that if you're a vet?
Right.
And it has to be solely placement on the ice. And if you can't be truly the placement on the ice, then how the heck are you going to score goals?
Right. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to chime in on the conversation. So we've kind of established that right now the Preds are not a Stanley Cup contending team. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah.
So how far away are the Predators from actually competing with the pieces that they have? What additions need to be made? What changes in the current lineups need to be made? Maybe not to be a Stanley Cup competing team, but to be a little bit more competitive within the division. We'll discuss that coming up next. Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. There you go. That was Barry Trotz yesterday on DVD with Adam Vingen, Willie Donick, and Derek Mason talking about the mindset for the rest of the season. What does he need to do to get those guys back on board? And look, they've been in that situation last year. How can they dig out of the hole? And obviously they didn't dig out of it last year. So how do they do it this year? Next man up, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. I apologize, Busy Bee, for completely butchering your live read.
Connor, why
Still love
can't
you,
you
though.
speak?
I don't know.
Do
Today's
you need some like hot tea or something? Some
no
water?
No, today's been a rough day for the Connor Newt doesn't stutter on air narrative.
It's okay.
Today's been not my day. I got a pair of tickets to give away to go see the Nashville Predators take on the Florida Panthers at Bridgestone Arena next Monday. That is the 24th. Caller number 4 will win the pair of tickets to see the Predators take on the Florida Panthers next Monday at Bridgestone Arena. So let's get back into the Predators. Trotz obviously seems confident in this roster. Maybe unrightfully so. I don't think they've proven that they've turned the corner. I don't think they've proven that they're that much better of a team than they were last year. So why is he so attached to that roster? And how far away are the Predators from actually being competitive within the National Hockey League? Maybe not Stanley Cup competitive, but a good team that's able to compete with other teams across the league.
I've been very patient with my words when it comes to seeing progress with this Preds team. When will they be contenders? Like on paper, when they signed all these guys, immediately thought they were Stanley Cup. Everybody did, right? Now looking at it now, I just have to see it after this week.
Yeah.
After next week, that's when I know if this team's a contender or not this season, just to make the playoffs or just to make a run at it. Because when you have everybody hurt and you don't have all your pieces at the same time, that's what really hurts you. And I think I was looking at some stats online, or I heard Robbie or Joe, somebody say it, that UC Saros' save percentage is under 900.
Yeah, that's not
great.
good.
Not great. And you go out there and look in San Jose, and Yaroslav Askarov is around like 904, 902, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not too far off, but still, it's just something to keep your eyes on. But overall, with this Preds team, though, I just got to see it next week.
Right. Look, I don't think it's all hinging on the play of UC Saros right now.
Right.
I likened it to a pitcher. A pitcher could be firing all the strikes inside, and the batter could be making contact. It's about the defense behind him. Is the infield doing their job and fielding the ground balls? I don't think the defense for the Predators has been doing the best job at stopping the puck from entering the defensive zone. But if you're UC Saros, you've got to make some of these OMG plays, right? You've got to make some of these saves that we know you're capable of making. And to this point in the season, he hasn't done that very much. So I don't think it's all on the goaltending. I think a lot of it falls on the defense. But you're right. UC Saros, with a save percentage like that, some of it does fall on him.
It's a little concerning.
Right.
I mean, because you obviously signed that long deal with him, last year, the year before, and you hope, last year, excuse me, yeah. You just got to make sure and you hope that is not the case going forward in a roundabout way. Another thing, when you look at all the score lines for the Preds, I mean, they've only scored over 3 goals in like a handful of games. That's another concerning factor, is that you don't have the offensive firepower to get at least 3 goals.
Yeah.
And when they do, it seems to be the team's always outscoring them on the other end of it. So that's the other unfortunate thing. I don't know. Like I said, I just have to wait till next week to finally get a good gauge in this team. Look, if they get 1 or 2 wins, they're kind of back in the thick of it in a roundabout way, because under Dallas, everybody, it's Winnipeg, Chicago, Minnesota, Utah, St. Louis, 24 points between Winnipeg and Minnesota. Then Utah's at 23, St. Louis is at 18, then Nashville's down there at 16. So if Nashville can just string together 2 or 3 wins in a row, a couple other results don't go other teams' ways, they're in the thick of it.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, is that you listen to Trotz yesterday, and obviously that clip beforehand, not coming back from break, but beforehand, saying that these coaches are busting their tail. They're doing everything they can. And I believe that to a certain degree, but at the same time, I don't. It just
Right.
You're just trying to please everybody as a GM, and you kind of can't do that. I mean, you got to be able to kind of comb through, the bad things and kind of outweigh the good.
I think my biggest confusion with this team lies with, okay, if you're committed to the coach and you're committed to your veteran pieces, why are you not at least exercising a little bit of your youth movement, right? Like, I understand you have Fedor Svechkov and Luke Evangelista and Joachim Kimmel and Zach LaRue that are making their way in and out of the roster, but this team, obviously they're old and you're not going to be able to move some of these veteran guys, but I don't understand why Barry Trotz harps on, oh, we have so much youth. Oh, we have a lot of youth for our future, and then doesn't use it, right? I understand the overcooking aspect in Milwaukee, but you don't want to leave guys there too long because then that's their ceiling.
Right.
But that's my concern with Kimmel and LaRue and not Evangelista, but guys that spend a lot of time in Milwaukee and come up for a cup of coffee and go back down. That's my concern there.
Look, you asked the question earlier, what do the Preds need to do to be contenders for at least the playoffs or Stanley Cup? For me right now, you look at former players and like a Kevin Fiala or a prime example, Kiefer Sherwood.
There you go.
That line a couple years ago, Sherwood to me is one of those grit and grind guys that gets the job done, that's nitty gritty around the boards, that can, I think he had 3 goals. He had a hat trick not too long ago. He had, I have him in fantasy hockey, so he had a really good night the other day. I just got to figure out which day it was, but he's one of those guys that the Preds kind of need something like that.
Right.
And they don't have that on the roster right now.
Right.
They got to figure out who that is and or bring him in.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Is there someone that you think they need to bring in? Do you think they need to bring in maybe a forward? Because obviously the forwards you have now aren't delivering. No offense to Forsberg or Stamkos or any of the guys there, but you need someone that can score goals. And offense has been the concern here this season for the Predators. They're scoring a high of 2 goals a game, it feels like. So is there someone that you think they should bring in? And maybe not a specific name, but maybe more the idea. Do you think they should bring in a forward?
I just think they need guys that can kind of fit into the lines, that can kind of give them a little extra oomph when it comes to skating. Because right now, this team, I don't think has the stamina can go a full 3 periods. That's my, excuse me.
There you go, JoJo.
Yep. That's my biggest synopsis of this team. I don't think they can go a full 3 periods.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's why they're getting outscored by so many goals. Like that, they're only scoring 2 goals a game just about. That's what it feels like. They don't have the stamina.
I mean, if they win a game, it feels like it's 2-1, right?
Yeah, and it I don't want to say it sounds like a miracle, but like it sounds like one of those things where, oh my God, the Preds won. Can they capitalize off of it now? That it's the anticipation of, oh, can they? Yeah, they can. Like it's the hesitation factor. That's kind of how I feel about the team.
615-737-1025. Let's get to some of your texts quickly. Devin and Dixon on our text line says, if Brunette's not going anywhere and it looks like he's not, then Trotzy has to get some players on the ice that fit Bruno's system. I don't know if that comes from Milwaukee or through trades, but that's got to change. Notice I didn't mention the draft. That is a long-term angle to the fix, not a fast one. 100% agree. The draft is we're building for the future thing, right? Look at who they drafted this season. Brady Martin. They played him for about 4 games, right? Felt like anyway. Send him down immediately to juniors. Obviously, that means he's not going to be around this year for the time being. That is a future move. That's not the kind of guy that you bring in to immediately make an impact and change your lineup the way it should. Trotz harps on stuff like that, though. Oh, we're going to bring this guy from Milwaukee. He's going to shake things up. And then he doesn't. Oh, we're going to bring in this guy I used to coach back at Washington or New York to shake things up, and he doesn't.
And also, too, you got to remember.
That's the disappointing part.
You got also to remember, as a GM, you got to have to play those chess pieces like that. You have to play the mind games with people, because when you do that, I mean, sure, it doesn't give out the greatest message when it comes to being a general manager, but I think when you do give out those type of messages, it kind of can play a little bit of cat and mouse and keeps people on their toes. So hopefully that's not what Preds fans want to really hear, but if you can kind of keep people on their toes for the most part, kind of keeps them interested in a little bit. That's kind of how I feel.
Mark says, I love the Preds, but did Trot say younger? What part of Stamkos, Marchus O'Shea, Hala, Bunting is getting younger?
It's true.
That's what I was kind of talking about. It's just, I'm tired of hearing about, we're going to get younger, and then they don't.
Well, he's trying to mesh it at the same time. That's the thing. He's trying to mesh young and old. And you even mentioned this way back before the season began. And the fact that if you're meshing these two caliber of players and a veteran and a youngster, maybe the youngster can supplement for what the veterans are not doing, and the veterans can do what the youngsters don't know yet. That's the thing that's not meshing right now. And
Right.
Again, I don't want to say give it time, but that's the only thing I can really say, because I don't know anything on the inside at all. But as a avid hockey fan, that's what I would have to say, is just give it time. Because like I said, the only thing I know is next week.
Right.
Next week.
Yep.
I hate to keep pushing it back, but
Huh?
my optimism is kind of outweighing my negative persona right now.
That's good. That's a good way to live your life. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to get involved in the conversation. Coming up next, I know Jake Lyman's not here, but we have to carry forth the Friday tradition. We'll predict our Monday headlines, what is going to happen in the Titans game, and anything else in sports. We'll do that coming up next. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly here with you on Next Man Up on 102.5 The Game. Is this Madison? Oh, yeah. Justin Herbert, you lucky dog. Welcome back in. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Connor Newton, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. And as always, at 11:30 on a Friday. I know Jake's not here, but I will carry forth the tradition. We predict our Monday headlines. What's going to happen in the Titans game against the Seahawks and anything else you want to talk about coming up. What happens this weekend? We begin with the Tennessee Titans in action against the Seahawks. Nick Frazier, give me any single event you believe will happen in this game.
Well, the Monday headline for the Tennessee Titans will be Nashville sick, strep cured. That is what the Nashville headline will be on Monday morning. It will be Nashville sick, strep cured.
And what does that entail?
That entails Xavier Streppo had a good game. If he does play, that is. So that's where I'm at
so
on that.
Strep is going to be caught in
Yes.
Nissan Stadium on
That
Sunday.
is correct.
I like it.
You know, there's I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
More cowbell.
Yeah.
I got a fever.
For the Titans, it's I'm under the weather. The only thing that I can get through this is just to
Wow,
catch
you made
the
it
strep.
sound even more white. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. All right.
I'm under the weather.
Yep.
The only thing that would cure it is Xavier Restrepo football.
Yeah, I mean, you said it better than I did.
Well, I'm white, so
trying to think of some other headlines. Nothing comes to mind yet, but you go ahead. You got something for the Titans?
I do. I believe Jackson Smith and Jigba will have 150 plus receiving yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
And it's not going to be a good day. I mean, you stack them up against Jalen Armour Davis. It ain't going to be a good day. Yeah. If you're the Titans. For the Seahawks, great day, but not going to be a good day. Parker Kelly, what happens in the Titans bout against the Seahawks?
Nick kind of took what I was going to say, but I can pivot. It's okay, because I think we will find out if Xavier Restrepo is going to be playing on Sunday tomorrow. I think that's when we'll find out if he is going to play at all. Here's what I'm going to say, and I'm really going out on a limb here. JSN goes off for 150 plus.
That's what I just said.
Oh, really? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was doing something else. Okay. Well, I'll side with you. I'll side with both of you. We're going to see Xavier Restrepo. JSN goes off for 150 plus.
So he combined the two.
Yep.
Well
very
done.
original of me. I got to say.
Well done. Nick Frazier, you can take this anywhere you want.
I'm going to go with the college football headline. Let's go for Vanderbilt. Oh, man. Let's go. The pot of gold is still at the end of the rainbow for the Commodores. I guess that's the only thing that comes to mind for me. But yeah, I think they win this weekend. They hand Kentucky another loss in their season. And yeah, boy, oh boy. One of those teams is going to lose. It might be BYU because they take on Cincinnati.
I thought you were talking about Vanderbilt. One of those teams is going to lose in this game.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 toss-up. You're right. Don't tell Carl Ravitch.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll freak out.
Yeah. No, but anyways, I do think BYU probably loses this weekend to Cincinnati. It's just one of those games where you need one of these three teams that are in the last 12 to lose for Vanderbilt. Just get in some capacity.
Yeah. Parker, your headline for Monday outside of the Titans.
All right, here we go. USC and Oregon play this week.
Oh, yeah.
And the 2:30 CBS primetime slate, one of the few good primetime, or I guess it's not primetime, but one of the good CBS games, the few good CBS games this year. 2:30, Alton Stadium, Eugene, Oregon. Oregon is a 10.5-point favorite. That's a little much for me. As you both know, I'm very high on USC right now.
Sure.
I think USC is going to cover. Oregon wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Oregon wins, but I do think USC covers. I think that's a good pick.
That was a lot of hype for a team that's going to lose.
You think Oregon's going down?
No, he just said, I love USC. I think they're a great team.
Yeah.
But Oregon wins.
You know what happens to their college football playoff hopes after
a lot
that?
of hype for
it goes down the drain. If they lose,
the garbage disposal. Yeah.
But if they win, they're very much alive for the Big Ten championship, which we're not talking about because we all think that they're going to lose this game. But just saying, things could get interesting.
I look, as a homer, I would love to see Vanderbilt. I'm not a Vanderbilt fan, but a kid that's born and raised here in Nashville, just like the rest of you guys, would love to see Vanderbilt do something spectacular.
I am going to take it to a game being played Monday night. And no, it's not football. There is a sonic blockbuster in the world of college basketball being played Monday. Oh, I guess it's not because it's not on ESPN, but Monday at 8:30 on TNT.
Oh, wow.
Gonzaga and Alabama are playing. I think Alabama's the best team in the SEC right now. Their guards are elite. They don't play defense, but if they're shooting the three, you're not going to beat them because they just managed to hit everything. I think they beat Gonzaga by 10 to 12 points.
Really?
I think they're that good. And I don't think Gonzaga is as good as everyone makes them out to be. They play in the West Coast Conference, which is, besides them and St. Mary's, there's no one there. So I think Alabama is going to handle some business against Gonzaga. So that's my Monday.
Did you see Graham Ike make like 4 threes the other day?
Oh, yeah.
He was 4 for 4.
Yeah. That Illinois game was fun. That was a fun night of basketball. UConn and Arizona played Thursday night, and that one was fun. And then Illinois and Alabama played afterwards, and that one was also fun. So I'm living in the life of college basketball aside from Mark Pope pissing me off. Let's get to some of your headlines on our phone text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Wes in Clarksville says Monday morning we will be hearing Big Jeff saying, we got to play better. We can't be having that many penalties.
Very true.
He also texted something that I feel that I'm sorry, this was a different Wes. This was Wes in Hermitage. I get them mixed up. I feel bad. Dustin in Hopkinsville going the route. Dustin says, Cats defeat Vanderbilt at home on senior day in the final seconds with a long field goal, taking Vandy and company's playoff hopes away like a redhead stepchild stepdad takes all the TV and gaming console remotes after back talking. I mean, I don't hate it. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. And here I'll read Wes's.
I hope you're wrong. That's all I got to say.
I hope I'm
wrong.
right. I'll read Wes's thing that he wants me to read.
Go ahead.
He says, if this is a quote trap game, this is a pretty bad trap. Even the burglars from Home Alone 3 could avoid this trap.
He's not referring to the Wet Bandits, is he?
Yes, he is.
He said Home Alone 3. Are they in Home Alone 3?
My Home Alone knowledge trails off.
I know
Home
they're
Alone
in 1 and 2.
Aren't they all called the Wet Bandits?
Why?
I know. Well, I know it's a different cast.
When Macaulay Culkin was out, I was out too.
Because they were in New York and lost in New York the second one, and the first one they were in Chicago.
0943 says sharp money is on Cam Ward, no touchdown passes.
I like that.
That's a good bet.
That's great because this Titans team is on track for not a lot of points.
I like that. Cam Ward's on pace to have like 15 touchdowns passing, which isn't completely terrible, but it's also not good
for a number one overall
pick. It's not that great. So I don't know. Let's see here. Colorado will smash the Preds and continue to put the heat on the franchise. That comes from 3155. That's a good bet. Colorado's playing the best hockey in the world right now. It's pretty hard to deny it. They are just loaded. Dustin says, Trey calls in unexpectedly to talk about Cam Ward's accuracy as 1025 and company discuss Vandy's win or loss. Think he can bank on that one. Brian on our text line says Preds get destroyed again, and the joke of the GM says the coach is doing great. In quotation or in parentheses, as you can tell, I'm sick of this team. I think we all are a little bit, Brian. Let's go to our phone lines. There's the man I was hoping to hear from today. Adam in Portland on the phone line. He's got a Monday headline. Adam, what's going on?
Well, number one, Home Alone 3 was where the kid gets the chicken pox and the international terrorists are chasing his remote control car. Do y'all not remember that?
Yeah. It was not the Wet Bandits, was it, Adam?
No. It was a young Scarlet Joe with his big sister, and she's mean to him.
Right.
It was the whole thing.
Right.
But, it wasn't a very good movie. No, my headline for Monday is everybody in Nashville loses again, and then the bunch of sad faces. So, dude, I got a question for you guys, though, because I've not faced any of you guys with it, and I'm just curious of what you think. Is there any quarterback in this league that you could put on the Titans and make them a playoff contender?
That's a good question.
Yep, Matthew Stafford, 100%, because he played in Detroit all those years.
Dude.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think he gets hurt. My point is, and the reason I asked that is because Cam has been incredibly durable, but I think everybody's being unfair to him. Yes, he's got 2-inch hands and keeps fumbling the football. I think it's weird that he fumbles like he does, but nobody could take this loser team to the playoffs. Like, I mean, some people argue Matthew Stafford or Mahomes. I would disagree with them, but I get the argument. But That's the point. Like, who could win with these losers? So I think it's unfair to judge Cam right now. That's my point.
Yeah. Thanks for the call,
Yeah.
Adam. I 100% agree with him, actually. I don't think there's any quarterback in this league that you can put on this team with the roster talent around him, the receivers they have, the offensive line they have, what have you, that could turn this into a winning team. People will argue Mahomes because he's the best. You argue Stafford because he's,
Matt Stafford's having an MVP season.
But look at who he's throwing the ball to.
I get it. He's got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I get that. But imagine if you have Matthew Stafford at the start of the season for the Tennessee Titans, and maybe Tyler Lockett's not as bad as people think.
Right.
Maybe, everybody talks about Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers' relationship in Pittsburgh and how that kind of transpires is in does Rodgers overrule some of the play calls that Arthur Smith calls in? Because I was listening to somebody the other day, I think it was online or something, talking about how the chemistry between Rodgers and DK is not fully there.
Yeah.
Same thing here in Nashville. I think if you put Matthew Stafford in that situation, I think he overrules some of the play calling and overrules it in a good way because right now the whole Mike McCoy and also Brian Callahan, I'll put this all together into one, the conservative play calling doesn't work. And I'm sure Matthew Stafford, who's been well-versed in this league for a long time, knows that's not going to fly with him. So he'd probably overrule that, probably have Alec Eilmaner catch a few good more balls here and there. Like I said, Tyler Lockett would be completely different. He might be able to do something with Calvin Ridley before his injury. There is a lot of pluses to all that. And maybe Gunnar Helm turns into a early bloomer in some aspects instead of just coming on later on in the season.
I think with Stafford, you got to factor in who he's throwing the ball to. B, you got to factor in who the coach is. Sean McVay is the best coach in the entire NFL.
True. That's true.
And I think, you look at the talent that's here and the talent that's there. There's no comparison. Let me ask you this. What's the knock on Patrick Mahomes' offense right now?
Can't block for him.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
He doesn't have receivers.
I disagree with that.
Would you take Kansas City's receivers over the Titans right now?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I would.
I don't think that there's a single quarterback in this league that could elevate this to a playoff team.
Dude, all right. Again, I'm somehow disagreeing with this, and thank you, Adam, for bringing up the topic, but
now we have something to close the show out with. Thank you.
You look at Matthew Stafford, and again, I bring his veteran mind into this. You talk to that offensive line right now, and a guy in J.C. Latham, Pete Skoronski, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Dan Moore Jr. on the left tackle. Like, look, he's been in the league long enough. If he says, hey, I take 2 or 3 steps up in the pocket when a certain route goes this way or something like that, that they're going to catch up on that.
Right.
I think the veteran experience for Stafford to know, hey, if I do this certain quirk, they're going to pick up on it. That's kind of how the offensive line helps develop as well.
All right, let's pocket this for a second.
Sure.
And continue it on the other side.
Sure.
All right, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Last call for your phones and texts, and maybe you can weigh in on our debate. Would a quarterback, any quarterback in the league, help elevate the Titans to playoff contention? I say no. Frazier says yes. We'll take your thoughts on the other side. Again, 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to that coming up next. Next man up here on 1025 The Game. Throwback white girl. I love it. Welcome back in. Next man up, Connor Newt, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Last segment here as we are about to turn you over to Charles and Large Joseph. So we're having a debate right now to kind of wrap things up. Adam in Portland called in with a very interesting point. If you could take any quarterback in the league and put him on the Titans, would they succeed? Frazier says Matthew Stafford would. I say no one would. So let's get to some of your texts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Spencer from Columbia says Stafford kind of proved he couldn't take a loser team anywhere for years with possibly the best receiver of all time. He, of course, is referring to the Detroit Lions with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, but they made the playoffs, though, in some cases.
In 1 year. And then went 0-16.
2012 versus the Seahawks. I remember that game well.
The question was, can can a quarterback on any other NFL team take this team to the playoffs? Was that the question?
Yeah.
That's all you need is one. You just need one. That's all I need. And that's Matthew Stafford.
He does rage than, it's been done.
I just state my case. He was on one of the worst teams in NFL history, and he took them to the playoffs once. Sure, it was only once out of 12 different opportunities, but look, I'm in the camp of this guy is a veteran quarterback that can lead your team to the next level. And again, it goes back to the veteran leadership and the veteran, esque of knowing the game of football in the NFL, knowing the certain ins and outs of how the offensive lineman needs to block this way, that way, all the above, because then they get to understand his pocket presence. Once you understand your veteran quarterback's pocket presence, he knows when to get rid of the ball. He knows when to hand the ball off, unlike a guy like Cam Ward, who's a rookie quarterback that's still struggling to get his feet under him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's an interesting argument. Unfortunately, we don't have time to wrap it up, but I strongly disagree. I don't think anyone could do it. I think it's impossible.
I think Chase and Joe probably could.
Chase and Joe. I think if you guys tried out for the Titans quarterback position outside the parking lot of Hermitage Applebee's, you'd probably make it.
We'll have to see next week.
We'll have to see next week. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate the opportunity to come and host this show while Jake is out. We'll be with you tomorrow from 9 to 11. I'll be back with you from 9 to 12 on Monday. Parker Kelly and I will. He doesn't know that yet, but now he does. Chase and Joe coming up next. Chase and Big Joe, that is, coming up next. But for Nick Frazier, for Parker Kelly, my name is Connor Newt saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow on the Weekend Huddle from 9 to 11. Stay tuned. Chase and Big Joe coming up next on 102.5 The Game.